Joe Biden goes right back to the drug war as soon as he's back in office. Well, maybe not as soon, but 6 months later, we're looking like we might see some more drug wars, crime war, not drug war stuff. But we'll talk a bit about what's going on with that. Sheldon Whitehouse comes under fire because he belongs to a exclusive whites-only club. And Jack Posobiec, by the way, went back through and found out that Donald Trump came under fire for opening up a whites-only club. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. Oh, in other news, a transgender BMX rider for Team USA has reportedly vowed to win the Olympics so that he can go up onto the podium and burn the American flag. I wonder how that's going to go over for him. And in other news, Steven Crowder got himself into a bait. The internet lit up, and I haven't heard anything about this, but we're going to watch a couple video clips from it anyway. It's going to be all this and more. Hey, 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 do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. We have got a little bit of stuff to get through today. This is probably going to be a short show, I'm not going to lie, because there didn't seem to be a whole lot going on yesterday. The Dow went up, the Sheldon Whitehouse thing happened, the Crowder thing happened, but for the most part, yesterday was actually a fairly slow news day, which I'm kind of pumped for because, we just keep coming back out here and doing 2.5 hour contemporary here. I mean, we stopped the Red Ned show at a dead 2 hours. But it's been consistent between 1 hour and 15 minutes and 2 hours for contemporary. But before we get started, though, let's back this up just a little bit. Before we get started, I got to just tell you guys about something. So everybody, I think most people who are going to watch this and watch this back on demand are going to look back and, a lot of you were here yesterday. I got an email this morning informing me that yesterday's contemporary was taken down. No appeal, no warning, no nothing, because it apparently violated a child safety standard. Anybody who watched yesterday's video, can you tell me what could have possibly been a child? The only thing I can think of is a widely circulated news clip, and I just thought of this now because I've been racking my brain all morning trying to figure out what the fuck it was. But a widely circulated clip of that guy diving on top of those kids to try and save them. That's the only thing that I could think of. And if that's the case, then they need to go do a lot more scrubbing of the internet, because that one is everywhere. I mean, I got that on Twitter, usually because those won't ding anywhere else. But that's the only thing that I can think of right now that could have been possibly it. But yeah. It is still video on demand over on Twitch. I will get it up on BitChute. I know I'm way behind on BitChute, but I will get that one up on BitChute.com because then we still have it for posterity. But other than that, yeah, that just no warning whatsoever. Boom, you're done. No content strike, no appeal process, no nothing. It's just, you're gone. So, 2 hours and 15 minutes plus prep time of hard work down the drain. Had I not had video on demand on Twitch. So, yeah, it kind of pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. All right. Let's get into it here. But before we get started, also head on over and check out all my friends over at the Freedom Scoop Media Group, where we carry great shows such as The Generational Gap, which I missed and I'll have to listen back to on demand today because we were doing the Clubhouse chat last night. By the way, that Clubhouse thing is cool. And the fact that we come back together and do the Clubhouse chat after the Red Net show, you guys should come back and join us over there too. If you need an invite to Clubhouse, let me know and get me a phone number so I can invite you to it. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that. Otherwise, you can go back and check out the R-Rated Conservative, the Breakdown with Breckenhoff, the Freckles and Brit Show, and the Daily Ignoramus. Head on over there, bookmark the website, freedomscoop.com, and once we are back up and running, you can come back over and help us support great creators. All right, let's look at your finance for the morning here. Your Dow is actually coming back up, it looks like. 586.89 points up. That is 1.76%. Back up in the green after yesterday, and it looks like the futures are going to start once again. So all this talk about the inflation must have gone away because they erased all the losses they had from Friday, but I suspect something else is going to come back out of that, because that seems to usually be the problem. It's when the Fed starts talking, the Federal Reserve, and when they start talking, the stocks start to go back down. So I got this feeling somewhere in the midst of this, they're going to start talking and the stocks are going to go back down again. But we will see what happens with that. On your Bitcoin is at $32,466 US dollars and 60 US cents. I don't know if I refreshed that since last night. Let's double check and refresh that quick. Oh yeah, no, it fell further here. Your Bitcoin is on sale right now. And Doge is down too, by the way. Doge, when I looked last night, was at 19 cents per coin. Which means I'm still ahead, but I'm not as far ahead as I was. Remember, I bought that at 0.3 of a cent per coin for $20. So I'm still in the black. And I'm still holding that shit forever. For $20 to have this much entertainment off of it, I don't care if I don't get anything back. I really don't. Like, if I'd have thrown $100 in or 300 or $500 in, I'd be like biting my nails right now, like, what the fuck am I going to do? But for $20, I pretty much got out of that for free. But yeah, as far as your Bitcoin goes, your Bitcoin is on sale right now. So ask your financial advisor if crypto is right for you, and consider going out and getting a couple pieces of a Bitcoin, because It's back down to 30,000 once again, and I see it coming back up. I know a lot of people are nervous about it, but I do see it coming back up. Note once again, this is not official financial advice. All right, let's look in at the IBD. Dow Jones futures rise after a 586-point surge. NASDAQ closes on record highs. 5 stocks to buy and watch. This is from Scott Latonin. Dow Jones futures, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ 100 futures, were higher early Tuesday following the Dow Jones-led stock market rally. Dow leader Microsoft, along with Alphabet, KKR, PayPal, and Pool, I hope to God that's not Tim Pool, are potential stocks to buy in the current stock market rally. On Monday, the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite rallied 0.8%, while the S&P 500 gained 1.4%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average surged 1.8%, or 586 points. Among the Dow Jones leaders, Apple advanced 1.4% Monday, while Microsoft moved up 1.2% in today's stock market. Tesla fell 0.4% on Monday as it battles to retake its long-term 200-day moving average. Among the top stocks to buy and watch, Alphabet, KKR, Microsoft, PayPal, and Pool are in or near new buy areas. Alphabet and Microsoft are IBD leaderboard stocks. PayPal was featured in this week's Stocks Near Buy Zone column. KKR is an IBD swing trader stock. Pool was Monday's IBD stock of the day. Ahead of the stock market rally on Tuesday, Dow futures rose less than 0.1% versus fair value, while S&P 500 futures rallied 0.1%. NASDAQ 100 futures traded up 0.2% versus fair value. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Among exchange-traded funds, the Innovator IBD 50 traded up 0.5% on Monday. NASDAQ 100 tracker Invesco QQQ Trust ETF gained 0.5%. Meanwhile, the SPDR S&P 500 ETF rose 1.4%. So a little bit of action going on here. Looks like a couple things are coming back up, and that's what's leading it back up. Or it just could be that Jerome Powell stopped talking, because that usually seems to be what it goes on to. When Jerome Powell stops talking, the stocks start to rise again. But we will see what happens with that. Let's grab one here from CNN. On markets now, Dow notches best day since March as Wall Street rebounds. Do I have an author given? Yes, I do. From Anakin Tape. U.S. stocks soared on Monday, making up lost ground after a multi-day losing streak last week. The Dow Industrial closed 1.8%, or nearly 590 points higher. The S&P 500, the broadest measure of Wall Street, climbed 1.4%. The Dow snapped a 5-day losing streak, its longest since January. The S&P 500 recorded its first gain in 4 days, its longest losing streak since February. It was the S&P's best day in about 5 weeks. Monday's rebound was Dow's best performance since early March in bringing the index back from extremely oversold levels, said analyst at Bespoke Investment Group. Yeah, they're going to try and call it a correction again, which it most likely was, just a correction. I read that one already. The tech-heavy focused NASDAQ composite finished up 0.8%. The recent stock market losses came on the heels of last week's Federal Reserve policy update, which paved the way for sooner-than-expected interest rate hike. The Fed's projections showed interest rates would increase in 2023, though some central bank officials even think a rate hike would be feasible next year. On Friday, St. Louis Fed President James Bullard said during an interview with CNBC that he believes the rates should be raised as soon as the end of 2022. After the midterms, by the way. Higher interest rates are perceived as negative for stocks, even though they come on the coattails of a stronger economy. Not always. It comes on the coattails of turning down the inflation. It doesn't come on the coattails of a stronger economy. Because it would mean higher borrowing costs for companies. For now, however, rates are still low, and that won't change from one day to the next. It's clear the economy is improving at a rapid rate, and the medium-term outlook is very good, but the data and conditions have not progressed enough for the FOMC to shift its monetary policy stance of strong support for the economic recovery, said New York Fed President John Williams during a speech at the Mid-Sized Bank Coalition of America. Full stop. Incorrect. once again, it's probably enough when we have 4.6% and then 5% inflation 2 months in a row. It's probably enough to start changing your monetary policy, but what's that going to do? When the Fed rate goes up, it's going to make it more expensive, and your regular interest rates are going to start going up for everybody else too, including mortgages, which you cannot raise right now because they need people to go out there and be able to get cheap money to try and keep the housing market from collapsing. Because that's on its way out too, and they're going to try and stave that off as long as they can, so they can blame the Republican monetary policy. Everything that I see coming out of the Federal Reserve, coming out of the battle for the Supreme Court, I mean, even some stuff that they're trying to jam through right now, like the infrastructure package, is telling me that the Democrats right now look at this and say there's no path for us to keep the Senate coming up. In spite of the fact that Republicans have a really, really hard Senate map this year, or this coming year. In spite of that, they're still making actions like they don't think they're going to make it. And that includes what's happening in the Fed, because now they can blame Senate Republicans for the monetary policy. They're doing bad things. So, no, this is not a government and an executive branch that's acting like they're in control, like they're going to make something happen. This is an executive branch that's acting in panic and knowing they've got to try and get something to happen. Or put it off, kick the can down the road till it's not their problem anymore. But that's what we have going on here. Let's get into some of the big news of the day. And the first thing I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to make you guys hate me. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you guys watch this video that we watched last night on the Red Net Show because, well, it's super cringe. And if I had to watch it, you have to watch it. Let's listen.
Please take this remedy, make COVID a memory, and when it's time, get vaccinated, please don't decline. Get your shot and we can get concerts and sports events. The summer could be so nice. Please just get your vaccine. We're so close to our dream. Put an end to this quarantine. Really want an indoor time. Quite definitely no surprise. Anti-vaxxers spreading lies. Damn it, why?
The administration would like you to take this vaccine. Joe Biden told you last week, if you don't, you can't celebrate the 4th of July.
With so much hesitation.
The administration would like you to take this vaccine. Joe Biden told you last week, if you don't, you can't celebrate the 4th of July.
With so much hesitation, we'll never get out of this mess. Screwing the nation, of course it's the Republicans. Voters all said Biden, now thank God we've got Biden. And now, incidentally, the cases have declined. Vaccines a miracle from science. Miracle. Need everyone's compliance. A shot or two will suffice. Please just get your vaccine. We're so close to our dream. Put an end to this quarantine. Guarantee that you'll be fine.
These are safe and effective products.
Thank you. Yeah, I caught that too. God damn it. Anyway, so I've got to go back and explain my feelings off of this here too. So one of the things that I noted with this on the video was, and yeah, I know when I shut off my mic too, was the fact that they were jump cutting the Tucker Carlson bit so hard. They jump cutted him, and you can tell that he was jump cutted. Just when we went back and listened to all that, I mean, you can tell that they were doing this up for propaganda. They wanted Tucker to sound like he's saying, if you don't get the shot, you can't celebrate the 4th of July. And Mr. Authoritarian President's the one that's telling you that. But, yeah, as far as that goes for Cringe Factor, I enjoyed putting you guys through that because I had to go through it. And what is a good experience if it's not shared? All right, we have to start all over on this Washington Post article here. So let's go. Biden launches effort to head off violent crime and political peril for his party. This is from Annie Linsky, Tyler Pager, and Cleve R. Woodson Jr. President Biden is expected to lay out an anti-crime strategy this week, focusing on gun crimes as part of an effort to stem the rise in homicides across the country at the beginning of what his administration and experts believe will be a tumultuous summer. I'm interested. Tell me more. Biden's planned remarks on Wednesday will put the White House at the forefront of a delicate issue that has dogged him and the Democrat Party in the past and carries potential political consequences for them. Admin officials are eager to show that the president is attuned to the problem and taking concrete steps to reduce crime, people familiar with the plan said. I don't understand why they think, and this was gold, so I'm going to say it again, why they think that he is attuned to the problem when he's not really even attuned to which direction his underpants go on. But apparently he's attuned to the problem of crime. Old Crime Bill Joe is going to be added again this summer. And, I mean, I'm ready to just grab some popcorn and watch. I am mostly law-abiding. I mean, we all commit a felony, like 3 felonies a day, according to statistics. But, I mean, I'm mostly law-abiding. I would rather just sit back and kind of grab some popcorn and watch these people run around and burn shit and blow shit up and face the consequences, as they sit back and have more buyer's remorse for voting for the guy who put the 1994 crime bill into place. Biden's planned remarks, I read that one already. The new push comes as chunks of the Democratic coalition tug in different directions. Some on the far left want to dismantle traditional policing, while others see liberal slogans from 2020, such as defund the police, as a reason for underwhelming election results, and are concerned that spiking crime will only exacerbate the political fallout that the slogan wrought. I mean, yeah. They want to dismantle traditional policing in favor of policing at the federal level that they control. They've been very open about this, especially given all the praise and wonder and glory that they have to put on to the Capitol Police because they shot Ashley Babbitt. He's a true patriot. That disgusts me, by the way. Somebody was trying to break into the Capitol, and the police officer that shot her was a true patriot. Oh, the eagle will fly! You fucking disgust me. Any other unarmed person in the world who gets shot by a police officer is enough to come back and burn a city down. But this one, because she wore the fucking red hat, that's disgusting. But that's not what we're here to discuss right now. We went extensively into that yesterday. Liberal activists pushing for an overhaul to policing worry that the alarm over the violence will undercut their efforts to increase oversight and accountability of individual police officers who don't work on the federal level. I do think that Democratic politicians are feeling some pressure to respond in some ways, so I think you'll see a lot of responses from the president on down, said Ronald Wright, a law professor at Wake Forest University and criminal justice expert. Crime was down overall last year by about 6%. What? I'm sorry, what? Last year was still 2020, right? I mean, you spent days, months, years breaking into every small business in Minneapolis and looting and stealing whatever the fuck you can find. What? Crime was down 6%? Huh? Something doesn't fucking math here, you guys. One of the largest decreases in decades, while at the same time, the murder rate appears to have risen about 25% and violent crime about 3%. I mean, it's not really crime going down. If you see the people looting, you look at them and say, oh, you have a certain color of skin. Okay, you're cutting loose. No, crime was not down overall last year. No matter how you cook the books. It was televised! The FBI on Monday released initial crime figures for the first 3 months of 2021 that was inconclusive about whether overall crime was trending up or down. While data being tracked by big cities across the country shows the alarming homicide trends continuing in them. Well, and that's a part of it too, because, I mean, you can't really hide the homicide. Hey, this many people died. It's not like, you know, hey, this many toasters disappeared, but we're just going to cut the people loose because, you know, progressivism and stuff like that. People turn a scant eye a lot more when it's this many people died of unnatural causes. The issue brings Biden to the center of a policy area that has proved fraught for him over his long career. As a senator, Biden wrote several major anti-crime packages, including a 1994 crime bill that contained provisions that are now viewed by critics as an overreaction to the crime spikes in the 80s and 90s and contributed to the mass incarceration of black Americans. But don't worry, he's the most racially progressive president in history. Biden's involvement on that bill became a major sticking point in his 2020 campaign. No, it didn't. They had it not rigged because it was the freest and most fair election in history. Honk, honk. On Tuesday, he will take another step towards dismantling the effects of the crime legislation he previously backed. His administration will endorse a measure to end the disparities between sentencing for crack and powdered cocaine offenses. Biden opposed defunding the police as the movement to do so grew in the summer before the 2020 election, with support from many of the party's left flank. Conservatives sought to tie him and his fellow congressional Democrats to the movement, and a report commissioned by the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee earlier this year showed that the effort damaged the party, which lost significant ground in the House, even as Biden Honkler won his fucking Honkler presidency. All right. This will tie into the next article, so this is where we're going to cut it off, because now we got to go talk about the redhead, Jen Psaki. But, I mean, yeah, where's the lie in any of this? And now this came to me, and I'm actually going to grab the article that came with it. Because this came to me because Elaine dropped something in the Discord. Who's messaging me? All right, anyway, let's not get distracted off this. Elaine put this up in the Discord, but wasn't green check verified. It's off of Substack. But, yeah, I went looking for this because off the Substack here, Biden doubles funding for police hiring programs. So, I mean, Crime Bill Biden is back. And there we see some of the chart here. Funding for this, Obama $137 million, Trump $150 million, $153 million, $156 million, and $157 million over the years. And then for 2022, Biden's at $388 million for the police hiring program. And then that led me down this. Now, Jen Psaki, on the other hand, is going to get involved in this as well. So, let me get rid of that. Jen Psaki. Psaki, backdating of crime surge undercuts link to protest cop defund push from Stephen Nelson. Whitehouse Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Monday appeared to embrace a Democratic argument that anti-brutality protests and the subsequent defund the police push aren't to blame for rising crime, despite statistics that suggest otherwise. Psaki said the crime began increasing about 18 months ago when the COVID-19 pandemic started, and not 13 months ago with the nationwide protests and riots that followed the murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis cop. Let's go a little bit deeper into this article, but I am going to push back on what the New York Post had to say about this, because there is some merit to what Psaki had to say. I can't believe I just said those words out loud, but there is actually some merit to what it is that she had to say. There's actually been a rise in crime in the last 5 years, but it's really in the last 18 months, Psaki said at her daily press briefing, ahead of a speech by Biden on Wednesday on rising crime, which Psaki said the White House believes is actually linked to the availability of guns, because of course she did, because they need to have a fucking gun control bill. And I'm going to circle back to that. The mention of 5 years ago appears to reference an uptick in certain types of crime that some analysts call the Ferguson effect after nationwide unrest over the August 2014 killing of 18-year-old Michael Brown during an altercation with a police officer in a St. Louis suburb. That uptick was theorized to be the result of police being unwilling to enforce certain laws for fear of being vilified. Yeah, there's that too. Nationwide, crime rates dipped during the 90s and early 2000s before violent crime began to creep higher and then took off in the second half of 2020. So I am going to push back on what the New York Post had to say about this, because we did see other problems other than just what was going on in the St. George riots and the St. Jacob riots that subsequently followed, and the St. Rayshard riots and the St. Ahmad riots. I mean, you're starting to see a bunch of this as well, but... Oh, and don't forget the St. Breonna riots. So we are starting to see a bunch of this go on and a bunch of this happen, but we were talking about this before the St. George riots. Keep that in mind and remember that we were talking about this as people started to get more desperate because they were starting to lose their jobs in the beginning part of April, going on into May, getting laid off, their businesses shutting down, completely grassroots and organically, not necessarily anything to do with the government, of course, because we can't blame the government for any of this, but we started to see the uptick in guns because people were getting more desperate, and other people were starting to anticipate that people who had not worked for so long, this was before we even knew there was going to be the eviction moratorium, which is coming up, so I hope you're armed up, by the way, we started to see people getting desperate back at the beginning of April. So I will say that some of the crime probably started with the commie fucking coup. But there is also the uptick in crime that happened once you burn a police station, burn a fucking Wendy's, burn a Target, burn a guy's sports bar, bust the guy's sports bar's window out, loot the sports bar, then after he goes back, cleans it up, gets ready to go back open it up again, then burn the fucking thing down. That still makes me mad, because that dude served his community. And that was his retirement. But yes, there was a sort of an uptick, a small uptick, not compared to what we saw out of the riots, but there was a small uptick as people started losing jobs. And, what did Aladdin say? Gotta eat to live, gotta steal to eat. We started to see some of that fomenting at the beginning of 2020. But yes, we are sitting at the fact that 1994 crime bill, Biden, and put the kids in jail for extended periods of time for smoking a joint, Kamala Harris, are at the reins. What do you think is going to happen at this point? All right, but that's what we have to go on with that. All right, let's grab one from Fox. MSNBC contributor, recent New York City crime wave is actually the fault of the police. I've not pre-read this one, so this is going to be interesting. From Courtney O'Brien. MSNBC contributor Brittany Packnett-Cunningham argued on Monday that the rise in crime in New York City is not the fault of the defund the police movement, but rather the police themselves. The rise in crime is not the fault of the movement, said Cunningham, a former member of President Barack Obama's 21st Century Policing Task Force. It is actually the fault of the police. Why should we keep funding systems and institutions that keep rendering themselves ineffective, she asked. To ensure truly safe streets, Cunningham suggested further discussion of gun control, livable wages, fair housing, and education. I'm not even going to insult you on the air at this point because... you disingenuous cunt. Oh, I guess I did it anyway. You live in New York City. You live in the city with some of, not the strictest, not the absolute strictest, but you're up there. You're in the top 5 gun laws in the country, plus the restrictive gun laws that come from Albany as well that affect the rest of your state. Those are a little bit looser because there's a lot of hunting up at the top, up in the upstate area. But in the city, In order to get a gun, from what I understand in New York City, Christ himself has to come in and walk on the water of the New York harbor to hand you your permit so you can maybe be allowed to own a small .22 pistol for your own self-defense, if you're the lucky. And even after he walks across the harbor, you still have to have a fair stat of luck on your side in order to make sure that you could actually make this happen. How much more gun control do you need? Oh, well, we have to do it for the rest of the country, otherwise they're going to smuggle the guns into New York. Let's have a listen.
Tomorrow is primary day for New York's mayoral race. Crime is the #1 issue among Democrats. Those are the people voting. What does that say about the defund the police movement? Do people know what it means? Do they know what it is? Do they know what they want?
So, Stephanie, I think it's important to begin with the simple fact that all of us, and I do mean all of us, want safer communities. Everyone wants and deserves to be able to walk out of their home, walk freely on the street, play with their child, and ensure that everyone is safe while doing so. But what we also know to be true is that defunding the police is not just about taking money out of an institution that continues to prove ineffective. It's also about refunding the people. It's about ensuring that the services that people need to ensure safe communities from the ground up are actually being funded and resourced to their full capacity. I think that there are a lot of police unions and GOP operatives that would like for us to believe that this recent crime has everything to do with this idea of defunding the police. But guess what, Stephanie? The police haven't been defunded. You actually look at the 50 largest cities' law enforcement spending as a share of the general expenditure in each of those cities actually rose slightly from 13.6% to 13.7%. And many of the cities that have talked about removing that money, like Minneapolis and Seattle, they've actually paused or slowed how they were thinking about moving that money. So this rising crime is not the fault of the movement. It's actually the fault of the police. And this has been our point all along. Why should we keep funding systems and institutions that keep rendering themselves ineffective? We should be talking about gun control, livable wages, fair housing, education. That's where we should be moving the money.
So, is it Brittany? Yeah. So, Brittany, I've got a question here. This is just an interesting little aside to this. If you have no police because they're ineffective, then who enforces the gun control? That's the question I have for this. Without police, who enforces all these pretty little shiny laws? I mean, if you defund the police, who enforces these shiny little new laws that come out and affect how people defend themselves? Who does that? That's a question I have for you. I'm afraid I know the answer already, but that's the question I have for this. But don't worry, criminals never get guns. All right. Anyway, that's what we have going on with that. Yeah. I think everything else that's in this article is covered in that interview. But it's the fault of the police that we have more crime. There is some merit to that. Because there are neighborhoods that the police don't want to go into because they don't want to become the next sacrificial lamb when they have to martyr some innocent, didn't do nothing black kid. All right. Let's go on from here. Let's go talk about Sheldon Whitehouse. Title story of today's show. Oh, wait, no, we're not that far yet. How far down did I put that? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let's talk about a different Whitehouse here. This is from Axios. Scoop, Whitehouse eyes ending migrant family expulsion by July 31st. From Steph W. Knight. The White House is considering ending, as early as July 31st, the use of a Trump-era public health order that lets U.S. border officials quickly turn back migrant families to Mexico, Axios has learned. The policy, known as Title 42, has resulted in tens of thousands of migrant family members, including asylum seekers, asylees, being sent away, as well as thousands of kids then separating from their families to cross into the United States alone. Title 42 was rooted in protecting the U.S. from an influx of the commie fucking coof. Maintaining its use has been harder to defend, while the Biden admin touts climbing vaccination rates and slowing deaths and infection numbers. Top CDC officials, as well as physicians who serve as consultants for the Department of Homeland Security, also have opposed using the public health order to expel migrants. President Biden has been briefed on a plan for stopping family expulsions by the end of July, as well as the option of letting the court end it. Axios has learned. Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep the kids in cages when everybody around you says, social distance! It's hard to keep kids in cages at 700% capacity. The administration has been in negotiations with the ACLU, this is going to end well, which has put a temporary hold on its lawsuit targeting the practice of expelling families. Details of internal discussions relayed to Axios show top administration officials have suggested that Biden seize the initiative by ending the order, which has been sharply criticized by immigration advocates and many of his fellow Democrats. They argue that allowing the ACLU to sue would force the Justice Department to defend Trump's policy. Yeah, that's kind of what we're sitting at with the writer lady. What the fuck is her name? The department store lady. E. Jean Carroll, that's her name. That, in turn, could result in sensitive information being released through the litigation process that could be seen as contradictory to Biden's commitment to asylum. Yeah, if they sue and the Justice Department has to defend, then we're going to know who all the people are that are being released into the U.S. A White House official told Axios it's a public health decision that will be made ultimately on those grounds, adding the administration would not get ahead of any CDC determinations. Although thousands of families have been kicked back to Mexico under Title 42 in recent months, since March the policy has been applied to less than half the family encounters, because then we can cram them all into fucking cages. This is due to limited space in Mexican shelters in some Mexican states refusing to take in families with young children. The admin has also set up a process for exempting more migrants from Title 42 out of humanitarian concern. Yeah, it's called throw the fucking border wide open and let them all back in. Anyway, yeah, so this is happening and the Title 42 is ending, which, I mean, that's a workaround in and of itself because we're sitting here and they're coming in. They're being held in cages. Oh my God, they're being held in cages. Kids in cages. Kids in cages. Trump built the cages. Obama built the cages. Trump built the cages. Obama built the cages working on a Clinton-era law. Trump built the cages. He's a monster. And that is, I mean, given the signal, first and foremost, that does help to keep some of the influx of people coming because we can turn them away because of health concerns and not jam them all into cages. But then also sit back here and sit in a position where we're also defending the people of this country from airborne Ebola, bleeding from your eyes, the death plague, the plague that's going to kill grandma and kill everybody else in this country. So that's what we see coming back up out of that. All right, from the Blaze. Democratic lawmaker threatens Catholic Church's tax-exempt status as it considers denying communion to pro-abortion politicians. From Chris Field. Pro-abortion politicians, activists, and opinion makers have spent the last several days attacking the Catholic Church for daring to even discuss the possibility of denying communion to lawmakers who support abortion. Read more. Wow, that's a lot more. Now, at least one Democratic lawmaker is publicly declaring that the Church's tax-exempt status could be at stake for taking a position that has always been the Church's position. Since the election of President Biden, the nation's second Catholic president, debate has intensified over whether an elected official who supports and implements policies that promote abortion should be permitted to take the Eucharist. Church officials revealed Friday that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops voted 165 to 88 to reconsider the rules about who can receive communion. The bishops elect a draft to formal statement on the meaning of the Eucharist in the life of the Church. In response, liberal outlets like the New York Times, a former newspaper, accused the Church of moving to target Biden, whom they consider an allegedly devout Catholic. From the Times. The decision, made public on Friday afternoon, is aimed at the nation's second Catholic president, perhaps the most religiously observant commander-in-chief since Jimmy Carter. Okay. And exposes bitter divisions in the American Catholicism. But the move to target a president who regularly attends Mass and has spent a lifetime steeped in Christian rituals, probably regularly attends Mass because he's 1 foot in the grave and doesn't want to take any chances, spent a lifetime steeped in Christian rituals and practices is striking coming from leaders of the president's own faith, particularly after many conservative Catholics turned a blind eye to the sexual improprieties of former President Trump. Because they supported his political agenda, it reveals a uniquely American Catholicism increasingly at odds with Rome and Pope Francis. In response to the bishop's vote, a group of 60 Catholic House Democrats issued a statement decrying any attempt to weaponize the sacrament. We believe in the separation of church and state allows for our faith to inform our public duties and best serve our constituents. The sacrament of Holy Communion is central to the life of practicing Catholics, and the weaponization of the Eucharist to Democratic lawmakers for their support of a woman's safe and legal access to abortion is contradictory. No elected officials have been threatened with being denied the Eucharist as they support and have supported policies contrary to the Church teachings, including supporting the death penalty, separating migrant children from their parents, denying asylum to those seeking safety in the U.S., limiting assistance for the hungry and food insecure, and denying rights and dignity to immigrants. I notice they don't point those fingers back at themselves in all this here. I mean, I guess if it was me, and I was a Senate Democrat, or a Congressional Democrat, rather, and I wanted to join in on the statement, I wouldn't have pointed the finger at the other guy. I would have come back and said, hey, we're Catholics. We've been taking the Eucharist for decades. And we love abortion over here. Why is it just now? That's the way I would have defended it if it was me. Not come over here and say, see, look at those other people, how bad those other people are. I would have pointed the finger right at the Catholic Church at that point. If they're going to do it, they should be intellectually consistent. That's all that I'm saying. And that's not me saying that this is wrong by any stretch of the imagination either. I do think this is the right decision to make. But they're sitting here, and that's their point, is to point the finger at the other guy. But as Hot Air's Ed Morrissey noted, unlike the other issues, the Democratic lawmakers listed, the Catechism sets abortion apart as a particularly grievous break from the Church and is the only departure in which excommunication is specifically prescribed. All right, well, let's start rounding up Pelosi and the other 60 people on this list then, because they've all voted in favor of abortion. California Rep. Jared Huffman tweeted Friday in response to the statement issued by the Democratic lawmakers that it might just be time to rebuke the Catholic Church's tax-exempt status. If they're going to politically weaponize religion by rebuking Democrats who support women's reproductive choices, then a rebuke of their tax-exempt status may be in order, Huffman threatened. Don't do it. You are not going to like the outcome of this, I promise. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't practice Santeria or anything. But you are not going to like the outcome of this. I promise. When you start taxing the Church that large amounts of your constituents go to, when you start attacking their church, and I want to point out, growing up in a Catholic town in northern Wisconsin, the Catholic Church is overwhelmingly Democrat otherwise. They just don't like the abortion side of it. But from the Catholics I've met, they are overwhelmingly Democrat. If you want to take a shot at your voting base, good luck. So far, Huffman has not indicated whether he believes the church should be forced to change its doctrine. You don't get a choice in that. See, to believe the way that Catholics believe, you don't get a choice in that. The word that you read from is the holy word of God and is not to be changed. You adapt yourself to serve the needs of the church, not the other way around. That's the way Catholicism has always been. So, no, Huffman, you don't decide that. Considering the Code of Canon Law states, as Christian Post pointed out, those who are obstinately persevering in manifest grave sin are not to be admitted to the Holy Communion. Yeah, go and tax the Catholic Church and tell me how that works. Good luck. That's all I have to say to that. Good luck. And God fucking speed. All right. From the Hill. Now we're still not going to talk about Sheldon Whitehouse. Should I just skip ahead to Sheldon Whitehouse so we get it over with? All right. From the Hill, though, majorities in new polls support early voting, voter ID. This is from Michael Schnell. A majority of people surveyed in a new poll believe that in-person early voting should be made easier and that voters should be required to show photo ID before casting ballots. The Monmouth University poll survey found that 71% think early voting should be generally made easier, while only 16% say it should be made harder. Support among respondents was even higher when it came to photo ID for casting ballots. The poll determined that 80% of these polled support requiring photo ID when voting, while only 18% are opposed. They must have oversampled those evil Republicans. Oh my God! Both efforts garnered bipartisan support. According to the poll, 89% of Democrat respondents, 68% of independent respondents, and 56% of Republican respondents supported making access to early voting easier. Additionally, 62% of Democrats polled, 87% of independents, and 91% of Republicans polled backed requiring photo identification to vote. They're not real Democrats because that's racist. Voter ID, that's so racist. Opinion was divided, however, when weighing on voting by mail. 50% of respondents said it should be made easier, while 39% said it would be more difficult to vote by mail. 84% of Democrats surveyed said voting by mail should be easier, while just 40% of independent respondents supported easy voting by mail, and 26% of Republicans surveyed did. There was consensus, however, in creating a national guideline for voting by mail in early voting. Well, unfortunately, the Constitution doesn't allow for that, so that's going to be a constitutional amendment. The poll found that 69% of respondents supported establishing national regulations for federal elections in every state, while just 25% were opposed. When broken down by party, the poll found that 92% of Democratic respondents, 63% of independent respondents, and 51% of Republican respondents supported the effort to have federal election laws. That's great. There's still that pesky Constitution in the way. And I understand where they want to come from, because they want it to be the same in every direction. But the other side of that is I mean, it's in the Constitution. Now you can have interstate commerce and have the states communicate to find what the best way is to be a uniform one, but you can't do it on a federal level. It's not legal to do. For a reason. That makes it harder to hack the election. Because if you have one centralized election, that's 1 point for them to get into. Otherwise, they've got to get into 50 individual elections, plus Guam and Puerto Rico and American Samoa. But regardless, that's what the poll says. I actually found it a little surprising. Not really, because I know that this whole voter ID is racist thing is propaganda to make sure that they can go never vote multiple times, because there was no election fraud last time, Susan. Don't ban me. Honk honk. But, I mean, with that, I'm a little surprised by the consensus that says that, yeah, we're in favor of voter ID. I'm a little surprised by that. But regardless, that's what we see coming back off of this. All right, from the New York Post. Sheldon Whitehouse under fire for membership at all-white Rhode Island Beach Club. Now we're going to do this one. From Emily Jacobs. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is facing new scrutiny over his decades-long membership in an allegedly all-white private beach club as he bills himself as a progressive and prominent critic of systemic racism. Dismissing membership based on race was a long tradition in Rhode Island. Oh, this is going to be interesting. The controversy began when Whitehouse was confronted on Friday by a Go Local Providence reporter who published the video along with an article on Saturday detailing what occurred after asking about the senator's membership at a Newport-based Bailey's Beach Club, part of the Spouting Rock Beach Association. I think the people who are running the place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet, the progressive politician told the reporter after being asked of the club's lack of any diversity whatsoever. Asked if clubs should continue to exist at a time when the country is having racial reckoning, Whitehouse replied, "It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them." I'm kind of curious to what the RRC has to say about this, because he is originally from Rhode Island. Originally. And I know that he points, because I know they keep saying it's a Rhode Island tradition. I can't believe for a second that this isn't just a politically elite, super rich Rhode Island tradition, because I can't imagine a person like the RRC going to a club like this when he touts himself as dirt poor living in an apartment, which he's really not that dirt poor if he can live on his own in Massachusetts. I'm sorry. Maybe relative to Massachusetts standards he is, but I mean, here he's filthy fucking rich by our standards, by our cost of living. But regardless, it's still the point of, yeah, this isn't what average Rhode Islanders do. And I've known quite a few of them, given where I went to school out there and the proximity and the amount of people who cross the state line to go to school at that particular school. I've known quite a few people born and raised in Rhode Island, and I don't think they all go to this club. And I think we need to just work our way through the issues, he added before leaving the scene. While Whitehouse appeared to dismiss the club's circumstances, his wife Sandra Whitehouse is one of the 3 largest shareholders in the club. When the Rhode Island senator, who was first elected in 2006, initially ran for his office, he disavowed his membership and pledged to quit the club, Go Local reported. 2006, that's almost like that was 15 years ago. Interesting, and he's still a member of the club. But yeah, switch the parties. That's really what I have to say about this one. Let's grab one from NBC News. On the same vein, Senator Whitehouse defends membership in private beach club that's allegedly all white. From Dara Gregorian, Garrett Hockey, Frank Thorpe V, and Julie Sirkin. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island defended his family's membership in a private Rhode Island beach club that's allegedly all white on Monday, telling reporters, "The club has informed me that it does in fact have a diversity membership. Bailey's Beach Club is a long tradition of being a family club, and they're working on improving diversity. I think that's pretty fair," Whitehouse said, elaborating on comments made to a Providence website where he appeared to shrug off the club's history. Asked Friday about his family's continued membership in the all-white Newport Club, Whitehouse, a progressive Democrat who has spoken out repeatedly against systemic racism, dude, you're the system, in the country, told Go Local Providence, "I think people who are running this place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet. And if you need something to make sure that you make this story go in a positive light for me, let me go get you some money from my numbered Swiss bank account. Ha 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 ha." Asked if such elite all-white wealthy clubs should still exist, Whitehouse said, "It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them, and I think we just need to work our way through the issues. Thank you." On Monday, he said Go Local got the facts wrong about the club's membership and that he'd meant to say there's a long tradition of it being a family club. Asked if he knew any members who were diverse, Whitehouse said, I believe that there were. I don't spend a lot of time there, so I couldn't tell you who the members are. A spokesman for Whitehouse, Richard Davidson, told NBC News earlier that the club has no restrictive policy. So, yeah, this is going to disappear in a hurry, too, because, I mean, what's this going to do? Oh my God, one of our own, he did something bad. But I got this feeling we're not going to see an end to this one. It's just going to go away. What else are we doing today? Yes, a little bit more on the same vein here. So, Father's Day, Count Cernovich tweeted out, in 1997, Trump filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court in Palm Beach alleging that the town was discriminating against Mar-a-Lago, in part because it's open to Jews and African Americans. In 2021, Sheldon Whitehouse is in an all-white club. So, and of course I archived this so we can go have a quick look at this and see what they have going on here. So this is from April 30th, 1997. That's my birthday, by the way. It's a warm Saturday night, and the party's getting hot at Mar-a-Lago, the Palm Beach estate that owner Donald Trump recently converted into a private club. As the Beach Boys harmonize on a makeshift stage, hundreds of revelers, many of them decked out in Hawaiian shirts, straw hats and leis, dance in the aisles and gyrate on wooden lawn chairs. At the height of the feat, Mr. Trump asked the crowd, "Does this remind you of Bath and Tennis Club, anybody?" The answer is a definite no among the evening partygoers and for many of the nearly 10,000 residents of this posh island town, but whether the contrast between the freewheeling Mar-a-Lago Club and the more formal Bath and Tennis Club, as well as Palm Beach's other traditional social establishments, is good or bad depends on whom you ask. For Mr. Trump and his club set, Mar-a-Lago is saving grace, affronting hypocrisy and corseted culture of snobs. Palm Beach is very much changing for the better, says the New York real estate tycoon. And a lot of this is because of Mar-a-Lago, okay? This is gonna be the Southern White House. It's gonna be the Winter White House one day. I'm telling you, I'm gonna live here. It's gonna be great. But for the old money that has long dominated this town, mostly staid, conservative, publicity-shy philanthropists who donate tens of thousands of dollars at social functions each season, Mar-a-Lago and its owners are the town's vulgar future made unpleasantly present. We're euthanizing here, said James Jennings Sheeran, publisher of Palm Beach Society magazine, which has been covered the town's social scene for more than 40 years because it was just old, graceful people who partied and gave to charity for reasons other than their own aggrandizement. Today, many of the younger people tend to give money for their egos and publicity it generates. Palm Beach is suffering from the classic case of culture clash between a patrician aristocracy and a band of new money colonizers led by brash, boastful, and ostentatious Mr. Trump. A lot of it may seem silly, socialites boycotting functions associated with Mar-a-Lago, others fretting over the fate of the landmark estate. But Mr. Trump has also resorted to the courts to secure his foothold here, and many residents wince at the attention his legal battles with the town have drawn to the town in general and to the admission practices at some of Palm Beach's older clubs in particular. For many longtime residents, Mr. Trump's decision to set up camp here was bad enough. That was in 1985 when Trump paid about $7 million for the 128-room Mar-a-Lago mansion built 70 years ago by serial heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post. Over the decades, Miss Post's party schedule had placed the estate at the center of Palm Beach's social circles. At the same time she died in 1973, it was a local institution. Do we actually have something over the fact that he was suing to let the African Americans and the Jews in? Yes, here we go. The culture clash began with to approach a climax last fall when Mr. Trump's lawyer sent members of the town council a copy of the film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, a film that deals with upper-class racism. Mr. Trump then approached the town council about lifting the restrictions that had been placed on the club. He also asked some council members not to vote on the request because their membership in the clubs created a conflict of interest. Last December, after the council refused to lift the restrictions, Mr. Trump filed a lawsuit in the district court in Palm Beach, alleging that the town was discriminating against Mar-a-Lago in part because it's open to Jews and African Americans. The suit seeks $100 million in damages. So there it is. Back when Trump was a hero, but hey, we need to whitewash and get rid of these articles because we need to be able to call Trump a racist. But yeah, back in the 90s, he sued Palm Beach for the fact that they were trying to discriminate against his club because he was letting other races in. And now, yes, Sheldon Whitehouse is a member of an all-white club. All right, we got just a few more here, then we'll do Twitter trending and head out of here. It'll be an early day today, I think. From CBS 2 Idaho, Ammon Bundy announces run for Idaho governor. Ammon Bundy made the things official on Saturday. Although he took the initial steps by filing paperwork with the Idaho Secretary of State's office last month, Bundy, along with family, friends, supporters, officially announced his candidacy for governor at Kleiner Park in Meridian. His campaign mantra, keep Idaho, Idaho. Current Idaho Governor Brad Little, Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin, and 4 other Republicans, Jeff Cotton, Edward Humphreys, Lisa Marie, and Cody Usabel, have also filed campaign documentation needed to run for governor. A well-known conservative and anti-government activist, Bundy has had numerous encounters with officials and police. Most recently, he had a no trespassing order at the Idaho State House in 2020. He was later seen being dragged out of the building by an office chair and later refused to wear a mask during a court hearing, prompting yet another arrest. The Idaho GOP has repeatedly said it does not support or condone his antics or his chaotic political theater. So, the head of the Bundy Ranch is going to run for governor of Idaho. Does anybody have any popcorn? All right. From the New York Post, transgender BMX rider for Team USA reportedly vowed to burn U.S. flag on medal podium. From Joshua Rhett Miller. A transgender woman who once vowed to compete in the Olympics said she would burn a U.S. flag on the podium has qualified as an alternate for Team USA's BMX freestyle event at the upcoming Games in Tokyo. It was revealed on Monday. Chelsea Wolfe, a 28-year-old Florida native who was beaming with pride in the photo, was shared with her 7,700 Instagram followers on June 12th, announcing she was named as an alternate on the team. I am positively a different person than when I set off on this journey. I'm so grateful for every experience along the way, and I'm so excited and honored to keep working, so I'm ready to shred in Tokyo in case I'm needed, Wolfe wrote alongside a photo of herself smiling through the helmet. Wolfe, who started BMX racing at just 6 years old, will get the go-ahead to compete if her qualifying teammates Hannah Roberts and Paris Benegas can't give it a go. She made her intentions clear last year in a since-deleted Facebook post about why she wanted to qualify, Fox News reported on Monday. My goal is to win the Olympics so I can burn the U.S. flag on the podium, Wolfe reportedly wrote on March 25th, 2020, alongside an online article about how trans girls should be treated as biological males in school sports. This is what they focus on during a pandemic, hurting trans children. Asked for comment on the since-removed post, Wolfe told Fox News it doesn't indicate she doesn't care about the U.S., insisting that anyone who thinks so is sorely mistaken, according to the report. Well, see, you are representing the U.S. on a national stage, and if the Olympic Council doesn't see that, then they have bigger problems in and of themselves. Now, yes, you have the right to burn the American flag. Now, that's also going to fly in the face, though, of the Olympic Committee rules. So it's not just what you're doing to the U.S. Tokyo's not going to look highly on this, and neither is the Olympic Council, because they said straight out that political demonstrations are banned on the podiums. You can do whatever you want off in your hotel room or whatnot, but you can't do this on the national stage. They have an air of decorum that they want to keep during their ceremonies. And you will probably run into problems. I'm guessing you're going to run into problems even before you get up on that stage. I'm guessing the officials from Greece are going to look at this and say, no, we're not going to do this. But that's what we see going on with that. All right. I've got one more news article here, and then we're going to look at some of this Crowder stuff. Then we'll do Twitter trending, because I'm curious as to what actually happened with this Crowder thing. I might have to listen to this today. But from the Daily Wire here, watch U.S. Navy detonates massive underwater explosives around new aircraft carrier. From Ryan Saavedra. The U.S. Navy conducted underwater explosive tests to ensure that the USS Gerald Ford was battle-hardened for the conditions that it will face on the 21st century battlefield. The Ford, which is the first aircraft carrier in its class, completed the first full ship shock trials test late last week. Ford's shock trials are being conducted off the east coast of the U.S. with a narrow schedule that complies with environmental mitigation requirements respecting known migration patterns of marine life in the test area, the Navy said in a statement. The Navy has also employed extensive protocols through the FSST to ensure the safety of the military and civilian personnel watching the testing evolution.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, shoot! All personnel remain at GQ stations. Brace for roll! Brace for roll!
That was kind of cool. You guys want to watch that again? I want to watch that again. Let's watch that again. Because I like it when things go boom.
8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, shoot! All personnel
Kaboom!
remain at GQ stations. Brace for roll!
That was cool. I like that. Oh, there's another one. USS Gerald Ford, Warship 78, completes the first explosive event of the full shock trials, continuing the mission. There's another one. That was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so yeah, looks like the shock test is good. It looks like that's going to be all ready to go, and well, the Gerald Ford is going to run around the 7 seas. Alright, let's look at this Crowder thing, because I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious at this point. So, Deaf Noodles tweets out, instant regrets. Steven Crowder has a meltdown after realizing Ethan Klein brought Sam Cedar to debate him. Steven is so terrified he won't even have the camera on him. We've got the full video down here too, which I'm probably going to watch or listen to later on. We're not going to do it here, but I don't know who this Sam Cedar person is, and I don't know why this is such a big deal. And I haven't watched any of these videos previously either, by the way.
So where do you think that I'm wrong on that?
Steven, do you know that the Spartans are like practice man love with children?
Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid. Oh, there he is. Oh no, Sam Cedar. What a fucking nightmare.
You,
I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, I told Dave, remember I told you? I said, I guarantee you he's going to do anything he can to avoid the debate.
Well, I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, mental health issues. Ethan Klein doesn't stand up and do his own fighting.
I gotta say,
it's just hilarious. Let's bring on FM.
You would do anything to avoid talking to me. I think the point that you made at the beginning of
Joe
this
Rogan,
was,
Joe Rogan and Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson and Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris. Everyone's been avoiding.
And not just attempting to get your audience by jumping in.
Well, I debated with Charlie Kirk. Stephen, I mean, it's about issues. Let's talk about those issues.
That's what you're doing here.
Valid points.
You're so clever. I had no idea that you were taking your show off early last time, coming in today with your pig pen peanuts on.
I wish everything.
You take those off with the velveteen buttons.
We must have been very worried about this, Stephen. I don't know why.
No one's worried about it. Sam, I didn't want to do it.
Let's have the debate.
Come on. I'll tell you what. I have a general. This is
a great opportunity.
I don't start a debate based with people on a lie. And how about you get
sabotaging?
How about you get
Stephen, show yourself, you coward. Stephen, show yourself. Don't show your co-host.
Ethan, you should show yourself.
Ethan, how can you respect yourself as a man, brother?
Stephen, you are such a coward. Stop showing your little leprechaun co-host who comes out dressed like your sidekick.
Come on, Ethan, why do you have to bring on a guy who has 30th of the viewership?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. So you have a guy with less viewers to come on to debate him because you can't?
Well, obviously, if I'm a layup and not a debater.
Well, look, you're the one who called. You're the one who got
Steven's the one that got angry about
it.
Show
Stephen.
I have no idea what just happened there. Because everyone was just sitting there trying to talk over each other. You remember when Crowder used to be funny? Before he took on the Dane Cook shtick of, I'm loud, that must mean I'm funny! And I also have no idea who Sam Cedar is. I don't know who this other dude is, this Ethan guy. Or the guy that's on the other side of Crowder's screen, but... yeah, I don't know anything about this. I don't even know what they were debating. Why is Crowder debating people, too, by the way? He's a comedian. All right, I got one more video on this. Maybe we can make some sense about this. This might be the same thing, actually. Steven Crowder melts down in real time. Let's see what this is.
Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid... Oh, there he is. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I don't know what this is. But that's what it is. Let's do the Twitter trending and head out of here for the day. Shall we? All right, on the Explore page, let's hit a refresh on this quick. All right, we will skip all the Tuesday stuff because that's usually kind of weird. But yeah, so we'll skip all this. We will do the 5 top Twitter trends of the day and see what's going on around what people are talking about today. It's kind of a slow news day. We're going to get out of here early today. Maybe we'll go see Little Tash Got Game. That's probably going to be who we're going to go raid here in just a second. All right, so the first one we're going to do is Trick Daddy. Rapper Trick Daddy says Beyonce can't sing, and Jay-Z ain't never won the greatest rapper alive while speaking in a clubhouse room. 106 KMEL reports. And the first thing we hear is somebody said Trick Daddy looked like one of the California raisins, and now I can't unsee it. I kind of get it. Yeah, the Beehive coming for Trick Daddy. Yep, that's the other thing that's going to be here is they went after the royalty, Jay-Z and Beyonce. You can't go after Beyonce. Well, yeah, went after Beyonce, and yeah, now his name is Bud, and they're going to drag him all the way down. What's this?
Like your looks. And the more you lie on me, the more your face is gonna keep melting like an old chocolate brownie on a hot Miami sunny day. You talking about I look like shit when shit look like it should be your first name. Front and center on your birth certificate. Name. Shit manure young doodle. You had the OG Snoop Dogg come down to Miami coming to Sundays thinking he patronizing your rep.
Okay. Don't know what's going on there. Can't do that one because that one's going to copyright ding me. I can tell you that. But yeah, that's apparently the thing that we have going on here. All right, next one. The second one we'll do is silly things that people do. Refuse to get vaccinated. Silly things that people do. And I've seen one of the other memes that are going around where they're talking about anti-vax. They've been training people for this moment because if you have any sort of hesitancy to get this vax, they associate you with these people. They've been training you all your life for this. Another one. Silly things people do. Tell Canadians they should move to Canada. Silly things people do. Drink decaf coffee. Yeah, I don't understand the decaf coffee thing. I've got a pack of decaf coffee in my cabinet that I've never made because I don't know what the point is of drinking decaf coffee. I grabbed it on accident. I thought I was getting the full calf version. It's just one of those little individual packs. So it's not like an entire big thing. Pineapple on pizza. I love pineapple on pizza. And wear Crocs with socks. I've never worn Crocs in my life. Believe the earth is flat is another one. Step on a piece of Lego at night when walking barefoot to the bathroom. Shaving your eyebrows, then penciling them back in. Silly things people do. Laugh at their own jokes. Well, I have no choice. Someone come get me. Silly things people do. Place objects in my way. All right. So we had some fun with that one. Let's do the next one here. Hashtag Vote NYC. New York City Board of Elections. Happy Election Day. Polls are open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Rank up to 5 candidates for the mayor, public advocate, comptroller, borough president, and city council. Find your poll site. Don't vote de Blasio and don't vote Yang. That's all I have to say about that. The next one, we are on the fourth one at this point. Usher. In a clip from an upcoming Netflix series, this pop icon, T-Pain, says he had depression for 4 years after Usher told him he had a negative impact on music due to his use of autotune. I don't know. I know who Usher is. I don't know who T-Pain is. I've heard the name. I don't know who that is. Does he do autotune? I have no idea. I don't like rap. And the fifth one, the one we just watched the video from, is Crowder. And Tim Pool, I can't believe I'm about to say this again, is going to sum this up perfectly. Left and right are going to make their points defending Crowder or Sam Cedar. Who cares? I could say the one real takeaway is that Ethan Klein is a master at drama grifting. You think Ethan actually thought he could handle a political debate? It was obvious bait. Yeah. I guess I actually have to sit down and listen to what actually happened there because, I mean, we got the clip. That's what everyone's talking about. I don't think anybody's going to talk about the content of the debate itself. I know I'm going to listen to it. But for the most part, they're just going to talk about the Sam Cedar moment because Laura Crowder got owned and now he's going to debate Sam Cedar. And, I mean, this meme sums it up perfectly. Dear Crowder, you claim to be against communism and yet you just got publicly owned. Curious. Buy Birch Gold. I can't believe I have to go back and listen to Crowder. Now I'm sad. Now I'm really sad, actually. But I do it for you. All right. That's it. We're done. Let's get out of here for the day. So let's change up the scene. Yeah, like I said, this was going to be a short one today. It actually went longer than I thought it was going to. Given the fact I only had 18 articles this morning. But we had some in-depth stuff to do. And I had to go back and re-speak some of the stuff I spoke because this idiot here kept his microphone off. Let's change the scene. Let's do this. Music! Alright, so I'm going to head out of here for the morning here. If you guys are over on Twitch, stick around. We're going to go see if somebody else is streaming. Probably from the UK, of course. because it's still 8 o'clock in the morning, almost 9 o'clock in the morning over here. But yeah, stick around. We'll go do some raid. We'll watch some video games. We'll calm down before we head on over and see my friend Stephen Ignoramus. So definitely looking forward to that. Come and hang out with us for that. Otherwise, we will be back here tomorrow for more Contemporary and a lot more news, hopefully. We'll see what's happening with this, and maybe I will sit down and listen to this debate between Crowder and Cedar and figure out what the hell actually happened and why I should care. That's the thing I'm having the most trouble about, is wrapping my head around why the hell I should care. But I'm going to find out. So look forward to that, look forward to talking about that, and whatever else the government and the news media and our localities decide to throw at us as well. So looking forward to seeing you guys here tomorrow for more Contemporary. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.